Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchuwant. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5712R. You can see this 18-karat rose gold complicated Nautilus on our website, Watchuwant.com. You can purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watchuwant Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of this video at any time to see our full listing for this watch with additional details, photographs, accessories included, and of course complete pricing. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. This is a sports watch that pulls double duty as a very compact dress watch. With an ultra-compact Patek Philippe automatic micro-rotor movement, the watch is less than 9 millimeters thick. It's about 8 3/4 on the wrist, and because it does cradle into the wrist a bit when buckled down, it actually rises less than that distance above the skin itself. Now, the traditional Nautilus wings and a beautifully rounded octagonal bezel mean that this one is quite easy to slip under any dress cuff or tight sleeve. It's a match for any formal attire. You will never get hung up on the flanks of this Nautilus. Now, it is modern and full-sized. It's 40 millimeters across the broad of the case, but that doesn't include the wings. It doesn't include the hinges of the lugs. It doesn't include the crown. So realistically, the most telling measurement to gauge the size of this watch is approximately 50 millimeters, 50.5 to be exact, from hinge to the opposite hinge joining the strap to the case. So that's the full span of the watch, but incredibly thin. It does have impressive heft on the wrist because the case, being a multi-piece composition, has a lot of metal in it, and the clasp, a beautiful twin-trigger double deployant, is an incredibly substantial piece. Actuating those twin triggers, which allow secure, voluntary, never involuntary release. This is not a friction fit. You can see just how much there is to this clasp. Beautifully finished and manufactured by Patek Philippe. It is a true manufacturer case movement, dial, and of course clasp. You can see how elaborately composed it is. The swing arms are of unequal length to make for ergonomic ease when closing it. You can also see, beautifully finished, there isn't a single machined, stamped, or rough mark on this clasp. It's as carefully considered both in engineering and execution as the case itself. Now the strap is substantial, and visually it's an important role player in the aesthetic of this watch because with its hinge lug, yes, this is a rare application of a hinge lug on a sports watch. The hinge moves and so does the strap. There's a little bit of articulation built in, but the aesthetic role of this strap and hinge is to create the same seamless flow from binder to case that you see on the original Gerald Genta design Nautilus on a bracelet. You have that same integrated aesthetic, so the strap adds a consonant chocolate tone to the beautiful warmth of the rose gold rather than breaking up the classic integrated bracelet or strap and case profile of the Nautilus. You get that original form factor, but with an entirely different set of tones and materials. Now moving inboard, the bezel, the flanks of the case, the hinges, they are a celebration of the finisher's art. The metallurgists, the artisans who build the case, finish it entirely by hand. Every polished surface, every bezel, or bevel of the bezel, every grained surface, everywhere where you see contrast, where you see a taper, is all executed by hand. There's nothing machine-made or machine-finished about this case, bezel, or caseback for that matter, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But it's the dial that's the star of the 5712. Now, we first saw this layout on 2005's 3712. That was a one-year reference. The 5712 in larger cases carried the torch forward, and you can see the hallmarks of this watch are calculated symmetry, with the power reserve indicator, the moon phase and date, and of course constant seconds being located off-center, counterbalanced only by the Patek Philippe marquee at 2 o'clock opposite the dial. Now, I'm going to move the minutes hand out of the way so that you can see that the watch's 38 to 48 hour power reserve, largely depending on whether or not the complications engage as the watch is running down, is short enough that as you wind the watch, you see meaningful movement on the power reserve scale, giving you an opportunity for dynamic interaction with the watch and the indications of the dial. Now, it does feature a beautiful gradient. It actually changes from a sort of gray-silver to almost anthracite at its very edges. It gets dark from the center outward. All of the elements are loomed, so this is an easy watch to read in low or no light. It does have sports watch genes in that sense, and there's just tremendous nuance. The sunken sub-registers of the complications, the beautiful polish of the stars in the night sky on the moon phase, the applied rose gold elements, and the hands at center to match. It's beautiful, it's upscale, and it's a primer for the real main event, which is the Patek Philippe caliber 240 on the back. Now this one packs all of the goodies. IRM for Indicateur Reserve de Marche, C, Calendrier, LU, Lunaire, and of course, the watch does have Petite Seconde, so it is PS, so that's the 240, and then all those letters are appended to it to come up with the reference we have here, which is a variation on the long-running, ultra-thin Patek Philippe 240 micro rotor automatic. Now this one does include the latest refinements, namely a anti-magnetic silicone Spiromax hairspring, as well as Patek Philippe seal levels of finish. Now the Patek Philippe seal doesn't necessarily mean that Patek Philippe has raised its game or shrunk from its obligations since it discontinued the Geneva seal. Rather, it signifies a standard of finish that applies to everything from the dial, to the case, to the bracelet, to the clasp, and of course, they maintain high standards of movement finish, and you can see them here. Straight Geneva waves across the bridges, and of course, across the 22-karat gold winding rotor. You can see a free-sprung Gyromax style balance, and then beneath it on the main plate, a tight and even perlage pattern. All of the edges of the bridges are mirror finished, and you can see that to some effect next to the train wheel. I'll try to get some of the gleam of the bridges so you can see the anglage effects. All of the screws, and I should mention, these are roughly 20 Swiss franc screws to buy separate, are beautifully finished. Yes, they have radiused edges, yes, their slots are chamfered, and yes, they have polished heads, but as per Geneva seal standards, if you were to pull the screw out and look at the pilot beneath the threaded stalk, even that would be mirror finished. That's the level of fine finish, attention to detail, and excruciating artisanal effort invested in this watch. Now you can see this Patek Philippe Nautilus, reference 5712R, 40mm in rose gold, on our website, Watchuwant.com.